Hey there, this is Joe Van Hoy. I'm going to be doing the video today on how to properly set up a Petri smear in order to get the smaller colonies of bacteria on a Petri dish. To start with, I'll go over what I'm using for each lab item that I'd be using. So for the Petri dish, I'm using 2 pieces of cardboard. Um, I've already got the backside of this one marked into the 4 quadrants just so we can show that. It does have my name, my initials actually on this one, what type of agar I'm using, and what bacteria we're going to be doing. My kids decided to do strep throat, so that's why strep's on there. I will show how to do the quadrants on the what would be the agar side. For my inoculation loop, I'm going to be using a pen. Um, that way we can show the streaking. For my Bunsen burner, I'm going to be using a candle. Lighter for the striker. I'm going to be using this as my specimen tube. It also has a lid and as well as a cup for the holder of that. So to get started, we're going to start off by drawing out the 4 quadrants on our Petri dish. Now, typically I would be doing this on the bottom side, as I've done here. But since we are doing this with cardboard and it's not clear, we're just going to divide that bottom section into 4 quadrants. And then again, I would write in either my name or my initials, what bacteria we're doing, as well as what type of agar we're using. So to start, I want to light the Bunsen burner and get that going. And then we're going to flame the loop. So in order to do this, I would pass this over the flame, not really holding it in there. I'm going to pass it over the flame until it gets red hot. And then I'm going to pull, let that cool off. I'm going to take the test tube with the bacteria inside. I'm going to take the lid in my pinky with the inoculation loop, pull. I'm going to flame that tube about 3 seconds. I'm going to take my specimen. I'm going to pull it out. I'm going to flame the tube again, making sure to do this. I'm going to put the lid back on. Specimen goes back in, and now we're ready to smear. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start in quadrant here, and I'm actually just going to smear that about 10 times and make sure to get a good coverage of that quadrant. Okay, so then we're going to replace it. I'm going to flame the tube again. Flame the loop again, my apologies. Okay, so now we're going to need to cool that loop. So what we're going to do is we're going to pull it and we're going to actually just place that in a spot where the agar is not being used and let that cool. Once you hear it sizzle, that's pretty much good. So it's good. We're going to start over here in that last quadrant. We're going to pull 2 streaks across to this next quadrant and then streak that about 10 times. Okay. Put that back. We're going to flame our loop again. And now again, we're going to cool. So find that same spot that you used before that's just not being used. Put it in there. Let that cool. And then again, we're going to pull, just like we did from the last one, we're going to pull 2 streaks from the previous quadrant. And then smear that about 10 times. Okay. Place and flame. So again, waiting on it to get red hot. And then we're going to put it back in that same spot that we used before, just to cool it off. We hear the sizzle, we know we're good. We're going to turn the Petri dish 90 degrees. For each of these steps, I have turned the Petri dish 90 degrees. Just forgot to mention it, my apologies. We're going to start back in that last quadrant right here. And we're going to pull 2 streaks and then smear down. So what we should have at the end is a fairly covered Petri dish. We're going to flame the loop. Done with that. We let it cool, put it away. And then we're going to turn off the Bunsen burner, so that'll work. Obviously, we turn the handle to turn the gas off. So the way that we would do the reason we do this is, so if you can see, when we start here, there's nothing else pulling into this quadrant, right? This would be a high concentration of bacteria. When we move to here, we want to pull some of that across to the next quadrant, smearing that out. But notice we only pull about 2 strands. So the idea is to get the concentration of bacteria smaller as we smear down. So that way, when we come in the next quadrant, when we flame, we take away the bacteria that we had pulled from this previous quadrant. So when we flame, now we're dealing with a smaller concentration of bacteria that we're pulling to the next quadrant. This is to get into single colonies of bacteria so that we can get a pure strain of that when possible. And so that's the importance of flaming in between each smear. When we get to here, we will not go into that final, into that first quadrant from the last quadrant we're doing, and we're just going to finish that. And so the idea is, again, heavy concentration starting with next one will be a little bit less. Keep stepping down from there, and then eventually, hopefully, seeing single colonies from maybe 1 or 2 cells that are reproducing and creating those single colonies. So, hope this is what I needed. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you very much.